Being a loser has completely changed my life, and in an incredibly positive way. Today, I woke up around 10:30 a.m. When I opened my shades and looked out the window, I became excited. I didn't really have anything to do except focus on my job and my hobbies. My latest obsession has been with mechanical keyboards. It's something most people would find very strange to be invested in, but I just found myself scrolling through YouTube one day, clicked on a custom mechanical keyboard video, and was instantly hooked when I heard the luscious ASMR sounds that can be produced from a new board. The idea of building it from scratch too also excited me. When I pulled out the various parts, I was just about ready to put the whole thing together, but I still needed to lube and film about 5 more switches. I never thought I would be using the terms lubing and filming in relation to anything that is non-sexual, but here we are. The switches of the keyboard are the things under the keycaps that are actually pressed down and make contact with the motherboard in order to send a signal to the computer that you just pressed a button. And lubing them up, in addition to placing this transparent thing called a film in between the top and bottom housing, creates a much nicer, deeper sound when typing. Here's a little ASMR of the finished product. Now you might be asking yourself, Cole, why? Is this thing making you money? Is this something that can even be considered normal or cool? Like, what's the point? Well, no, it's not something that's going to be making me money, nor do I think most people find it cool or interesting either. But it's a fun hobby, a hobby that some people might find as loser-esque, but I really enjoy it. You see, so many of us are waiting for others to approve of what we really want to do, or for enough people to start doing something until we decide to do it. Unless it's part of the current societal norm, then many people won't tell anyone that they are into a certain thing, or worse, stop themselves from doing it completely because it can't be deemed as cool. Now, there are times where societal norms produce a disproportionately positive result for everyone, such as, requiring people to wash themselves and seeing murder as bad. But a lot of societal norms are kind of nonsense that a few people in positions of power just decided to create and do, and then tell their friends to do, which then created a society full of people doing the same thing. And since humans are such a social species and crave the acceptance of other humans in order to satiate their basic desire of feeling wanted and accepted, they'll do a lot of shit that feels very inauthentic that they don't enjoy and wouldn't contribute to the betterment of their lives just so they can get a, oh good, you're a normal person from a few people. A lot of my old friends still don't know this until this day, but as a kid, I was heavily obsessed with cup stacking. Any of you remember when speed stacks were a thing? Well, I was that kid in my room practicing my cup stacking skills almost every day while recording myself on my parents' old camcorder. But I wouldn't have dared to tell my friends that this is something that I was interested in. There was even a period of time in gym class where our teacher forced us to do cup stacking for like a week, and I remember purposefully doing it badly and stacking the cups slowly just so I could fit in with everyone else being bad and so that no one caught on to me actually doing this in my free time. For as long as I can remember, I've had these more weird or disfavored interests towards things. It was a little easier to embrace my loser qualities when I was a small child before I got into high school because my closest friends were the ones playing Pokemon on our Nintendo DS's during lunch. But as I got older, my brain went through that post-child to mid-teenager phase where everything was based on status and popularity. And so I started to reject those parts of myself completely. To be honest, almost every single day during that time felt like a non-stop chase to fit in and be someone that I was not. And I just couldn't understand why I did not enjoy talking about a lot of what my friends talked about. There's not a lot of things that I regret from my teenage years, especially because I like to see every situation, whether good or bad, as a learning experience. But one thing I do kind of regret is that I wish I would have silenced the noise of other people's approval and really stepped into who I was. And one thing that would have really helped me to do that much easier is therapy. If you're someone who struggles with authenticity and seeking approval from others, then I highly suggest talking to someone on the sponsor of today's video, which is BetterHelp. If you've been on the channel for a while, you probably heard me talk about BetterHelp. They will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. They've helped over 2 million people live happier, healthier lives, and they have over 20,000 therapists on their platform and are adding more to meet demand. I think a lot of why so many people crave so much validation from others is because of the way they were raised, and that's something that really helps to just talk to someone about and open up about. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist, and you'll get timely and thoughtful responses responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. They are committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, and this is one of the biggest reasons as to why I love BetterHelp, that it is free and easy to change your therapist at any time if you find your current therapist isn't working for you. And it's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. So if you want to start living a happier, more fulfilling, meaningful life, then visit betterhelp.com/Cole. That is betterhelp.com/Cole, and join the over 2 million people that are improving their relationships with themselves and others. And there's a special offer for listeners of my channel. You will get 10% off your first month if you go to betterhelp.com/Cole. After my keyboard was finally assembled, I had to give a quick admiration for the desk it sat on. I had just upgraded my entire desk setup for editing, entertainment, and gaming, and built my dream PC. PC building was also something that I found myself becoming obsessed over just a couple years ago. After I built my first $800 PC back in 2020, I was eager to continue upgrading when I had the finances to do so. But when the GPU shortage hit in 2021, thanks to all the crypto miners, I had to settle for a pre-built PC as my next upgrade. Fast forward to now, and I was finally able to get my hands on all the latest parts, including the RTX 4090. And for people who don't understand anything about PCs, that's basically the best graphics card that you can get right now. A few weeks ago, I spent a good 7 hours putting the whole thing together, but neglected to do proper cable management. So that's what I had to get done today, and this was the final result. I like to spend a lot of my time alone doing stuff like this. I don't really like the big parties, going out, binge drinking, and talking to a bunch of people. In fact, I've been straight edge for almost 2 years now. What I really like to place a lot of my focus on are things that increase in value the more time that you invest into them. Like I talked about in my last video and earlier in this video, there is of course a time and place where you should be doing something that everyone else is doing, and it can be extremely enjoyable. But over these past couple years, I've become more and more cautious of the type of energy that I let into my life. Setting boundaries and creating space that allows me to explore my own state of being, apart from what everyone else is conforming to, I believe is a huge part of the reason as to why I feel like I have a bit of a different voice in this whole self-improvement red pill type space. It was the French writer and philosopher Voltaire that said, "Every man is a creature of the age in which he lives, and few are able to raise themselves above the ideas of the time." The truth is, I think the human race is much more distinct than we're all led to believe. We all have our own ways of perceiving and interpreting the world that could only be created by our very particular type of lens. You are currently occupying a reality that, no matter how much you try to put into words or explain visually, will never be fully understood by anyone else but you. And yet so many of us deny our true reality and occupy the reality of the masses just so we don't get called a loser. To do your own thing, question why you do what you do and what you've been taught, and rise above the ideas of our time is an extremely courageous act. It requires, like I briefly stated, prolonged periods of solitude and contemplation, or the right conglomerate of open minds. But the latter is pretty hard to find. So I don't go out much and be who I am. The introverted dude who loves being around great people and has a very easy time socializing, but prefers his space most of the time. Because if you constantly hang around people who aren't who you are, then you'll forget who you are, just like I did in my teens. As the sun started to set and the visibility of the streets outside started to grow smaller and smaller, it was time for me to hit the gym. It might come as a surprise to many of you that I am so obsessed with lifting weights. I'm sure that many of you came into this video with the assumption that I would be telling people that it's okay to be lazy, unmotivated, and awkward. But that's not what I mean when I say you should be a loser. Being a proper loser isn't about never doing anything, staying inside in your comfort zone all the time, and having no purpose. It's about exploring what it is that really excites you, apart from what everyone tells you should excite you, and getting so deeply invested in those things that the pursuit of improving upon them becomes addicting. I'm a loser because I want to spend almost all of my time doing the things that bring out the most fulfillment and long-term joy out of my life, like barely going out to eat and making my own food, constantly researching new ways to get better at videography and video editing, and doing hobbies that challenge me and bring out the best in me. And if that makes me weird or uncool to people in our current society, then so be it. You might have noticed that on the LCD screen of my CPU cooler in my PC, there was a GIF looping of an anime character. Anime is something I've been into for quite a while, since way back in the day when they played shows like Samurai Champloo and Naruto on Toonami. Back then, if you watched anime, you were seen as a complete weirdo. You were one of the strange, quiet kids that should be avoided at all costs. But now, anime has turned into something that a lot of the cool, popular kids have adopted. It's now socially acceptable to talk about it and show your love for it. And isn't that funny? The reason I bring this up is because so many of us are caught up in the latest trends or global interests that aren't at all actually aligned with what we want to do. But by the end of your life, the things that you are actually interested in or want to do may just end up becoming the cool new popular thing, just like it did with anime. These social norms are a very temporary thing that are usually created by the people who weren't afraid to do the things that other people couldn't understand or weren't interested in or saw as stupid and uncool. In other words, not only are a lot of these things pretty arbitrary, but the only way that they usually come to fruition is from the innovators, aka the losers. There was a hospice nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware who cared for patients in the last few weeks of their lives. And her experience with them led her to write the international bestseller, The Top 5 Regrets of Dying. You want to know what the #1 most common regret was for people who were just a few weeks away from death? I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. When you look back at the end of your life and you analyze everything you did, do you want to have that same regret? Or do you want to embrace your passions and things that other people can't see or understand right now because it's what you truly want to do and you know that the pursuit of it will lead to a more enriching life? Are you going to continue to live the life that others expect of you just so you can be socially accepted? Or are you going to give that validation and acceptance to yourself through the journey of engaging in your own ways of thinking and doing? The choice is yours. Big thank you to all the patrons on this channel on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate for YouTube where I put out exclusive content. You can also talk to me on the phone over there. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description. Another video I've made similar to this topic is 3 weird ways to care less and enjoy life more. This will get you to stop caring about what others think as well. So check that video out next. And thank you for watching. I love you guys, and just do your thing and be somebody.